The crash was sudden. Jack's ship spun out of control, sparks flying across the control panel. He gritted his teeth as warning lights blinked red. The gravity was strong here, much stronger than expected. He had no choice. He pulled the emergency lever. Boom! The small cargo ship slammed into the surface of a rocky moon. Metal groaned, dust filled the air, and silence followed. Jack crawled out of the smoking wreck, his shoulder bleeding and legs slightly twisted. The air was breathable, cold, but not toxic. He dragged his bag of supplies and limped toward a cliffside cave nearby. It was the only shelter in sight. Night came quickly. Strange howls echoed across the rocky plains. Jack sat near his small fire, his pulse racing. The flames cast shadows on the cave wall. Every sound outside made him grip his knife tighter. It was a lone or so he thought. Then he heard it, a soft scratch. Not on the rocks, but inside the cave. Behind him, he turned quickly. Two glowing violet eyes stared at him from the darkness. The creature stepped forward silently. It looked like a wolf, but taller than a man and more elegant. Its fur shimmered like brushed metal. Sharp ears twitched, and its long tail flicked. Jack didn't move. Easy, he whispered, holding out a piece of his protein bar. The creature sniffed the air. Slowly it crept forward, then snatched the food from his hand and backed away. It didn't growl. It didn't attack. It simply watched him, night after night. It returned. It never made a sound. It always sat a few feet away from him, near the warmth of his fire. Jack talked to it like a stray dog. Told it about Earth, about his broken ship, about how no rescue beacon worked. He named it Vela. One night, Jack woke to a strange sound. Not claws or wind, but a voice. A soft female voice. "You smell like trouble. ... human." Jack sat up. Heart pounding. The fire was still burning low. Svela was there, closer than ever. Too close. His eyes went wide.
"Did you just talk?"
The creature tilted its head as if amused. "I was wondering when you'd notice." The voice came. Again. Clearer this time. Feminine. Confident. Jack scrambled back, shocked. "You can talk? What are you?" She stood, slowly stretching. Her limbs were still animal-like, but her movements were too smooth, too aware. My violet eyes glowed. "I'm not a pet," she said. "I'm Canary. And you're lucky I'm Canary. In heat, or I might have eaten you." Jack's jaw dropped. "In what?" "In heat," she repeated, stepping closer. "But don't worry. You already helped me once. I won't hurt you. ... mate." Jack backed into the cave wall. Wohold. I didn't agree to be anyone's anything." But Vela didn't pounce or growl. Instead, she lay down beside the fire and curled her tail around her body. Her eyes softened. "I was hurt, hunted. My own kind left me. You fed me. Shared fire. That means something among the Canary." Jack looked confused. "You're not a normal creature, are you?" She chuckled, low and rumbling. "No, but you'll get used to me." He didn't sleep that night. The next day, he tried to ignore everything. He gathered salvage from his ship and checked his supplies. The rations would last maybe a week. He didn't speak to Vela, and she didn't speak again either, but she followed him everywhere. When he limped too far, she nudged his leg to rest. When his hand shook trying to light a fire, she did it with a spark from her possum kind of energy. Jack began to see that she wasn't just smart, she was something ancient. And then, something changed. That night, she curled beside him again, not touching yet closer than before, as Jack drifted to sleep. He felt her breath on his neck. Then the voice returned. "You should prepare, human." He opened one eye, groggy. "Prepare for what?" She pressed her snout near his cheek, almost nuzzling him. "We're having puppies." Jack bolted upright, nearly falling over. "What?" Vela grinned, fangs flashing in the firelight. Surprise. Jack didn't sleep after that. He sat upright for hours, watching Vela curl up like a peaceful wolf beside the fire. The words echoed in his head, "We're having puppies." That couldn't be real. He was a human. She was something else, something wild. something beautiful and terrifying. At sunrise, he stepped outside the cave. The air was dry, filled with soft purple mist. A nearby geyser hissed steam into the cold air. He rubbed his tired face and muttered, "Maybe I hit my head harder than I thought." Suddenly, footsteps behind him. Not soft paws, clawed feet. Walking, like a person. He turned and froze. Vela stood tall, not like a beast, but like a being walking on two legs. Her form had changed overnight. Her fur had receded along her arms and legs, revealing glowing lines on smooth, silvery skin. Her claws were now fingers. Her muzzle shorter, more human-like, but still sharp, still dangerous. "Don't look so shocked," she said in her calm voice. "I told you, Imkanari, I'm not just a creature. We're a race. Humans call us primal beasts, but we're older than your Earth." Jack's mouth was dry. You evolved overnight." Vela shrugged, her now humanoid shoulders. "Our kind has adaptive forms. But mating heat brings changes faster." He backed away, hands raised. "Look, I didn't mate with you. I just shared food and let you stay warm." "That's it," she chuckled. "In Canary culture, that is mating." Jack felt dizzy. "I need air." "You're already breathing it," she smirked. Back inside the cave, Jack tried to stay busy. He repaired a broken scanner, double-checked his rations, and powered the distress beacon again. Still dead. Vela followed him like a shadow, calm and curious. Her glowing eyes watched his every move. "Stop staring," he said without looking up. "You fascinate me," she replied. "You humans are full of contradictions. You're soft and fragile, but you didn't run when I showed you my true self. You're afraid, but you still try to protect." He sighed. "What do you want, Vela?" She crouched beside him, her silver fingers brushing a tool near his hand. "I already told you," she whispered. "You made a bond with me, a sacred one. And now, something stirs inside me." Jack slowly looked at her. "You mean the puppies thing?" She nodded seriously. "They're not just pups, they're hybrids. Half Canary, half human. That has never happened before?" Jack blinked. "That's not possible. Our DNA shouldn't match." Vela smiled gently. "And yet, they're growing." She took his wrist and placed it over her belly, and Jack felt it. A soft flutter. A movement. A pulse. His hand jerked back in shock. "No. No way." She looked into his eyes. "They will be strong, Jack. Stronger than any warrior my people have seen." That night, Jack couldn't sleep again. He stared at the fire, mind spinning. If what she said was true, if she really was pregnant with his pups, it would mean disaster. Alien governments would want them. Scientists would cut them open. Her people might kill them out of shame. And yet, he remembered her eyes when she touched his hand. It's not just wild or possessive, but hopeful. Like she'd never had safety before. Like he was her first moment of peace. In the silence, she spoke. "Again, you're afraid," she whispered. "Yes," he admitted. "I was too, when I first saw you. But your kindness warmed something inside me. Something old, something forgotten." Jack turned toward her. "Why me?" Vela crawled beside him, resting her head on his lap like a loyal animal, but her words were sharp with meaning. "Because you didn't try to own me, or fix me, or run. You just sat beside me. That is rare." He looked down at her. "I didn't mean to do anything special." "You did," she whispered. The cave grew quiet. Jack's mind was no longer racing. It was floating heavy, confused, but strangely calm. Then his scanner beeped. A new reading. Life signs. Not just hers, but inside her. Multiple. Faint. Developing. He stared at the screen, and then at her belly. The scanner had confirmed it. They were real. They were his. And now, nothing would be the same. The scanner didn't lie. Jack stared at the small device in his hand. The readout blinked slowly 3 life signs. All small. all growing, all real. His hand trembled. His mouth went dry. No, no, this can't be happening, he looked. Up at Vela, she sat calmly across the cave, tail curled around her legs, watching him with glowing eyes. Her expression was strange, not proud, not smug, but something deeper, something ancient, like she had known this moment would come. You see it now, don't you? She said gently. Jack didn't respond. Vela stood and walked toward him slowly, each step measured. She knelt down beside him, her long fingers closing around his hand. They carry your spark. I feel it inside, mere fire mixed with mine. Jack yanked his hand away, shaking his head.
How is this possible?
We didn't. I never. Didn't need to, she said. Canary females and heat only need a bond, a true one. And you gave it when you saved me. When you fed me, when you stayed. Jack felt sick. So what? This was some kind of magical alien reproduction trick. No, she said firmly. This was destiny. The days passed. The changes came slowly. But they came. Vela's body began to shift again. Her fur thickened around her middle, but her shape stayed partly humanoid. She walked upright more often now, and her speech was clearer, smoother. But it wasn't just her body changing. It was her behavior. She grew more protective. When Jack wandered too far from the cave, she followed. When a sky shadow flew overhead, a native predator Vela stood in front of him, growling until it passed. She built strange nests out of branches, stones, and his torn emergency blankets. Jack noticed something else too. She had begun humming. Low. Deep sounds that echoed softly in the cave at night. It wasn't random. It was a song, a lullaby, for pups not yet born. One morning, Jack tried to fix the comlink one last time. His hands were covered in wires and sweat when Vela walked up to him, head tilted. You're always building, she said. I'm trying to get us off this rock, he muttered. You may be happy here, but I'm still stranded. She nodded. And if you leave, what about them? Jack stopped. What? The pups, she said quietly. Will you leave them? Will you leave me? Jack didn't answer. She stepped closer, touching his face gently. We didn't ask for this, human, but it happened. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Later that evening, while gathering water from a nearby stream, Jack saw something strange. Vela was kneeling beside a patch of soil, her claws digging gently. She was planting something. Jack walked over, confused. What are you doing? She held up a small, smooth Padan alien seed she had found during a hunt. Food, she said. For them, when they grow? Jack watched in silence. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was preparing. She was building a future. And suddenly, Jack realized he had stopped thinking of her as just a talking beast, or even as an alien. She was a mother. His mind flashed back to Earth, to the noise, the war zones, the emptiness he had carried for years after leaving the military and Huron. A dead moon, with a strange creature who once growled at him. He was needed, wanted, not for war, not for glory, for life. That night, Vela lay close beside him. The fire crackled. Her breath was soft. Jack reached out, almost without thinking, and placed a hand over her belly again. This time, the movements were stronger, tiny kicks. She smiled, with eyes half closed. They know your touch, she whispered. They grow faster when you're near. Jack didn't know what to say, so he said nothing, but his hand didn't move. Suddenly, a sharp sound. Claws, distant, but approaching. Vela sat up straight. Growling, Jack grabbed his scanner and gasped. Movement. Large, multiple life forms. Coming fast, she looked toward the cave entrance. It's them. Jack blinked. Who? Vela growled deeper. My kin, my former pack. A canary. They've found me. Jack stood frozen. Why would they come now? She looked at him, with calm eyes and something close to fear. Because they can smell what's growing inside me, and they won't allow it to live. Asterisk, the sound echoed through the rocky valley. Not thunder, not wind, footsteps, heavy, four-legged, fast. Jack stared at the cave. Entrance, heart pounding. The scanner's blinking red lights confirmed what Vela had already sensed. Multiple life forms approaching. Big ones, fast ones. And they weren't just passing by. They were coming for her. Vela stood tall, ears flat against her skull. Her fur slightly bristled. Her body had shifted again back to her primal form, but with more strength, more power. She looked like a queen preparing for war. Jack grabbed his pulse rifle and backed toward the cave wall. How many are there? 3? No, 4, Vela said. Scouts, hunters, my old pack. Jack turned to her. They're tracking you?
No.
She said, eyes darkening. They're tracking what's inside me. Before Jack could speak, the first shadow stepped into view. Then another. They weren't like Vela. They were bigger, bulkier. Armor plates fused to their skin. Their eyes glowed red, not violet. Their claws were longer, jaws sharper. And they wore symbols burned into their flesh. Symbols of the Canary. War Council. Vela bared her teeth. Enforcers. One of them stepped forward, sniffing the air. So it's true, the beast growled. You've gone feral, Vela, bonded with a human? Bred with a weak species. Jack raised his weapon. Back off, the enforcer laughed. He speaks. How adorable. Vela stepped in front of Jack. Touch him, and I'll rip your hearts out. Another Canary circled to the side. Carry hybrids. The council forbids this. You know the punishment? Vela stood firm. Let them come. I won't run, and I won't let you harm my pups. The leader snarled. You think they're yours to protect? They're mistakes. They must be erased. Jack felt anger rising in his chest. Not fear, Fury. She saved me, he said. And I'll die. Before I let you take anything from her, without warning, the first enforcer leapt. Vela met him mid-air. Claws against claws. Teeth against teeth. The cave exploded into chaos. Jack fired at the second one. Pulse round, slamming it into the rock wall. The third, charged claws, swinging, but Jack ducked, fired again. The blast scorched fur and bone. The beast howled. In pain, outside, Vela fought like a force of nature. She moved faster than Jack had ever seen, biting, slashing. Her body was a blur of silver and blood, but they were trained killers, and she was protecting something inside her.
Every
blow she took was slower. Every step. Heavier one enforcer slipped past her, straight into the cave. Straight toward Jack. Jack raised his rifle dash. Click. Empty. The enforcer grinned. Now you die, human. But before it could strike, Vela pounced from behind, fangs sinking. Into its neck, it collapsed with a scream. Silence followed. Bodies lay broken, burnt. Bleeding, Jack dropped his rifle and ran to her. Vela, she was panting, one leg bleeding badly. Her breathing was heavy, but her eyes, those violet eyes, still glowed. They'll send more, she whispered. They won't stop. Jack looked around. Then we leave. We find shelter. Somewhere safe. Vela shook her head. There is no safe place. Not for us. Not for them. She touched her belly softly. Suddenly, a new sound. A voice, metallic, robotic, human life form detected. Identity confirmed. Jack Caro, assistance. Arriving. Jack's wrist beacon blinked green. His emergency signal had been picked up. Rescue. He muttered. They're coming. Vela didn't look relieved. She looked worried. They won't understand, she said. They'll see me as a threat. A beast. They'll take me. Take our pups. Shh. Jack stared at her. Then I'll tell. Them? I'll protect you. I'll explain everything. Her eyes locked on his. Will you fight your own kind? For us. He didn't blink. If they try to hurt you, yes. She stepped close, eyes narrowing. Then listen carefully, Jack Caro, she said. From this moment forward, you are not just human. You are alpha to a Canary pack. She pressed something into his hands. Small, glowing, warm. A binding. Stone, sacred. A symbol of mate, hood. Of unity, of war. He didn't hesitate. He closed his fingers around it. Jack Caro had been many things: soldier, pilot, courier, but never a father, and never the alpha of an alien warrior pack. He stared at the binding stone in his hand. It glowed with warm blue light, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Vela lay beside him in the cave, wounded but calm. Her breathing was deep, slow. Her hand rested over her belly, protective, fierce, motherly. Outside, the bodies of the Canary enforcers still steamed in the cold. Morning air. Jack knew this peace wouldn't last, and he was right. The rescue shuttle arrived just after dawn. Sleek, white, human-made. It hovered just above the rocky ledge, blasting dust in every direction. Jack stepped forward, waving his arms. The scanner beeped. His ID had been verified. The ramp opened. A squad of Terran recovery troopers stepped out, weapons raised. They scanned the scene, their eyes locking onto Vela behind him. "What is that?" the squad leader asked. "Not that," Jack snapped. "Her name is Vela. She's pregnant." The man raised a brow. "Pregnant with your child?" "3 children," Jack corrected. "And yeah, long story." Soldiers exchanged nervous looks. "Orders are to bring you home," the commander said. "But the alien, she comes with me," Jack said. "I don't think that's up to you." "It is now," said a calm voice behind him. Vela stood, despite her injuries. She looked tall, regal, dangerous, her eyes locked on the soldiers. "I smell doubt. I suggest you lose it." The troopers raised their rifles. Jack stepped in front of her. "Stand down," he said coldly, "or you'll have to go through me."
Before.
The commander could argue. The sky darkened. A massive Canary warship descended, its engines screaming like beasts. Black spikes lined its hull, and tribal banners whipped in the wind. The rescue team scattered, taking defensive positions. Jack turned to Vela. "Is that your people?" She nodded. "That's not a search party. It's a cleansing squad." His heart sank. "They've come for the pups." "No," she said. "They've come to erase the shame." The warship landed hard. The ramp opened. Out stepped a Canary. High Marshal, flanked by a dozen elite warriors. All wore bone-white armor, all carried plasma spears, and all had the same scent: vengeance. The High Marshal growled, "You shame our blood, Vela. You let a human seed you." Vela stood tall, her claws glowing faintly. "I made my choice. That choice ends now." He raised his hand. Attack. The cave exploded into chaos again. Jack rolled behind a rock, firing at incoming warriors. His rifle buzzed and hissed with each blast. The Terran troopers joined the fight, confused but loyal to their man. But the Canary were trained for war. Vela screamed as a spear scraped her side. Jack ran to her, shot 2 attackers, and helped her back up. She pushed him away. "Protect the pups," she growled. "I am." "No," she said, eyes glowing. "You're still thinking like a soldier." Then she reached for his chest. Her claws touched the binding stone he wore on a chain. The stone shattered, releasing energy. A blue shockwave blasted through the air, stopping everyone in their tracks. The ground trembled. Vela's voice echoed enchained. Powerful, filled with command, "I invoke the right of the pack." Silence fell. The High Marshal's eyes widened. He would bind him. As Alpha? Jack stood tall beside her now. The mark of the pack glowing across his chest burned into his skin by the stone's light. "Yes," Vela said. "He is no longer just human. He is mine, and they are ours." The warriors hesitated. Some dropped their weapons. Some knelt. The High Marshal roared, "Traitors, you bend the knee to a human." Jack stepped forward, rifle lowered, but ready. "I didn't ask for this," he said, "but I won't run from it either." Pointed to Vela's stomach. "They're alive, and I will fight anyone who tries to hurt them." Vela grinned. You're learning. The battle ended not in blood, but in silence. One by one, the warriors backed away. The High Marshal, snarling with rage, retreated into his ship. His voice echoed down the ramp. This isn't over, Vela, or you, human. The Council will decide your fate. Then the warship lifted and vanished into the sky. Later that night, Jack and Vela sat near the fire. Her wounds were healing fast. His hands were still shaking. I thought I was just saving a creature, he whispered. Vela leaned against him, her tail wrapping around his legs. And now you're the alpha of an unborn pack. He looked at her, serious. Then I'll lead it. Even if the whole galaxy wants to stop me. She smiled. The pups will have your stubbornness. Jack laughed softly. And your fangs. Asterisk lightning flashed in the sky. But it wasn't weather. The Terran rescue ship hovered above the mountain shelf, locked in a tense standoff, with the Canary warship still circling overhead. Inside the cave below, the fire had gone out. Vela lay curled in a nest of blankets and thermal padding, her claws clenched into the stone floor. Her breath was shallow. Her body trembled. She wasn't just injured anymore. She was going into labor. Jack knelt beside her, panic building in his chest. He had faced war, monsters, and death. At this was terrifying. Tell me what to do, he pleaded. Vela growled through clenched teeth. Just don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere. Outside, thunder boomed again. No one could see it from above, but inside that cold, dark cave, life was about to begin. The first scream came suddenly. Vela arched her back, her fur slicked with sweat. Strange symbols lit up along her spine, glowing markings Jack had never seen before. Is this normal? He asked, heart racing. She could barely nod. It's the ancient birthing sign. The pups are coming fast, too fast. Jack grabbed water and clean cloth. I've never done this before. You've held a rifle, she gasped. Now hold my paw. Same grip. She wasn't joking, but her eyes, they were filled with pain and trust. He took her hand. Outside, the situation got worse. The Canary ship stopped circling and dropped another squad. This time, not enforcers, elders. Cloaked in black faces covered in bone masks. They had come to witness the hybrid birth, to decide whether the pups lived or died. The Terran commander contacted Jack over comms. We see movement. Do we engage? No. Jack replied, not unless they move closer. Watching, Jack said. Inside the cave, time slowed. The second pup came screaming into Jack's hands, silver-furred eyes glowing violet. The first had already been placed gently beside Vela, its tiny form wrapped in his scarf. But the third wasn't coming. Vela grunted, her strength fading. Jack checked again, no movement. Then he saw it. The third pup wasn't breathing. No. No, come on, Jack shouted. He placed the pup gently on the stone, pressed his fingers to its tiny chest, and started pushing. He had seen this in old Earth training videos. Chest compressions, breathing. Just try. Keep trying, Vela watched. With glassy eyes, don't let our baby die, Jack. He pressed again and again, then a cough. A whimper, the pup gasped. Jack nearly collapsed. Vela cried not from pain but relief. She pulled all three pups close, her arms wrapping around them protectively. Jack sat beside her, breathless, clothes soaked in sweat. You did it, she whispered. No, he said. We did. Outside the cave, the Canary elders stood still, watching. One of them stepped forward, approaching slowly. The Terran soldiers raised their rifles, but the elder raised one hand. Peaceful Jack stepped outside, rifle slung low, eyes bloodshot. The elder pointed toward the cave. 3. Jack nodded. Live, all of them. The elder knelt down and placed a strange crystal on the ground. It glowed once, then dimmed. The council will want war, he said. Then let them come, Jack growled. The elder looked at him, really looked. You are not one of us. And yet you led, you protected, you bled. Paused. You are Alpha. Jack narrowed his eyes. I didn't ask to be, which is why you deserve to be. As night fell again, the cave was quiet. 3 tiny lives curled against there. Mother Jack sat nearby, exhausted, cradling his rifle and his thoughts. He had come to this moon to deliver parts. Now he had helped deliver life. A strange, broken world had given him something Earth never had a reason to stay. Vela's voice broke the silence. They'll never stop. Jack, I know, but now we fight for them, not just each other. Jack nodded, then let the galaxy come. The twin suns rose over the jagged cliffs of the forgotten moon, painting the sky with soft gold and silver streaks. Wind danced across the cave mouth, carrying with it the scent of ash, iron, and newborn life. Inside the cave, it was calm Jack. Sat cross-legged beside the small family he had never expected to have Vela, resting with her eyes half closed, her fur gently rising and falling with each breath. And nestled against her chest, bundled in pieces of his flight jacket, were 3 hybrid pups. They were perfect, tiny, warm, alive. And his. He reached down, gently touching the smallest one, the one who had almost slipped away. Its violet eyes blinked open briefly and let out a soft squeak. Jack smiled. It was the first time he had truly smiled since the crash. But outside, the galaxy was changing. The footage from the Terran troopers had already been sent. The birth of the first ever human-alien hybrid. The Canary War Council had seen it, so had Earth's top brass, and no one knew what to do next. Jack didn't care. Later that day, a message came through the Cumsy-Vac shuttle, inbound. 8 to 3 hours. Jack looked at Vela, her ears twitched. Will you leave? No, he said. Will they let you come? She shook her head slowly. Not as a mother, not as a mate. To them, I'm dangerous, untamed. He touched her hand. Then they'll have to deal with me too. She smirked. You ready to defy both governments? He looked at the pups. I already have. The shuttle landed with a heavy thud. Troopers emerged in full armor. Medical bots followed. Jack stepped out first, rifle on his back, but his voice calm. You'll take all of us, he said, or none. A high-ranking officer stepped forward. You understand what this means, Jack? Mixed species offspring? Bonding with a death worlder? Jack's jaw clenched. They're mine, and so is she. They'll want to test them, study her, contain you. Jack nodded. Then I won't go back as a pilot. The officer raised a brow. Then what are you now? Vela stepped beside Jack. The pup squirmed gently in her arms. Jack looked the officer dead in the eye. I'm an alpha. The officer sighed and stepped aside. Then lead. Back on Earth, headlines exploded. Human breeds with alien galactic laws shattered. Hybrid birth sends shockwaves through interstellar council from soldier to alpha. The man, who chose love over orders politicians fought. Scientists scrambled. Alien governments demanded answers, but Jack and Vela ignored them all. They were given a remote habitat, a forest preserve, on a quiet Terran moon. Not a prison, not exactly freedom either, but it was enough there. They raised their pups together, the smallest one bit through. Jack's booed at 3 months. The biggest one howled at the stars every night. The middle one had Jack's eyes and Vala's claws. Years passed, and one evening, as stars lit the sky above their home, Vala sat by the fire with Jack, their 3 pups asleep nearby. She leaned against his shoulder. You gave up everything, she whispered. Jack shook his head. No, I found everything. She nuzzled his neck. You were never just a man. You were always more. He looked down at the pups. They'll be the future. She nodded. Warrior minds, human hearts. Jack smiled. Alpha souls. The wind shifted in the distance. A scout ship buzzed the sky, but it didn't land. They had learned not to come near, not anymore. Not where the Alpha ruled, not where his pack lived.